Hi everybody, we are going to get started with December Club Q, and with the powder puff chalking inks we suggested for this was manzanita, amaretto, saffron, malachite. Any reds, browns, greens will work with this kit. So you choose the ones that work for you or whatever you have in your stash. The kit is fairly simple to put together. One thing I do want to point out from the beginning is I have these kind of set aside. These are the ones that we are going to do the cutting diagrams. We'll do those first. But there is one of the backgrounds is actually a frame from your lasers. So one red one will be a background. There's one red one for your cutting diagram. And then your other background is actually from your lasers, and we are going to use this outside piece. So if you pulled your lasers apart, you want to make sure you save this piece. If you already threw it away, dig it out of the garbage can, because this is your piece that you'll be using for one of the backgrounds, okay? So we will start with the cutting diagram. And I'm going to lay this right next to me so that I can see it clearly as I cut. We'll start with, so you'll need one red piece, one cream piece. And I'm gonna actually start with the cream piece. And I'm gonna do a 3 1/4 cut all the way across the top. So put this in at 3 1/4. And then we are going to, so that we have kind of this dark corner piece on each one, we're going to cut at 5 1/2 this way. We got 3 1/4 by 5 1/2. And then I'm going to turn this around so that you get the long piece with this nice flower on it, and cut it at 5 1/2. The next piece we are going to cut is this 6 1/4. So I'm just going to go right across here and do 6 1/4. So turn it this way, 6 1/4. And if I get going too fast, just hit pause, get caught up. Oh, I'm sorry. This needs to be, I need to cut this little tab off the bottom here. Okay. And then we are going to turn this way so your darker part of it is here, and we're going to cut it at 6 1/4. So 6 1/4, and we're going to turn this and cut it at 4 1/4. So it's cutting this piece out here. And really, if you cut it out of somewhere else in the paper, you will be fine. These will be pretty much covered up with photos anyway, so if you get it going the wrong way, no big deal. You just cover it up with a photo. So 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. And the last piece is 3 1/4 by 5 1/2. So I'm just gonna turn it back this way and do 3 1/4. By 5 1/2. And again, if you cut it somewhere else out of the paper, it's no biggie. I'm not gonna even notice, okay? So this is your 3 1/4 by 5 1/2. And the red piece, we are going to cut at 5 3/4. All the way across. And this one, it doesn't really matter what way it's turned because it will be the same either way. So 5 3/4 by 3 1/2. So we'll turn it and cut each one at 3 1/2. And again, if I get going too fast, just hit pause. 3.5. And I'm filming in our warehouse today, which most of you know is right next to a train. So I hear a train coming. I apologize in advance. They always blow their horn right next to our building. And if you've ever done one of our Facebook Live events, you know that during those events, when a train goes by, we have a train prize. So we give away lots of prizes throughout our Facebook Live. We're gonna put this in at 4.5. So if you've never tried one of our Facebook Live events, you definitely should. We have one coming up in March. We have one coming up in March. And you get a full day of classes. So that was a 4.5-inch cut, and then we're gonna do 6.5-inch. But you get everything you need to follow along as we go live, and you get 4 classes throughout the day. Super fun day. We give away lots of prizes. Okay, so we have our cutting diagrams out of the way. The only other thing that you are going to need to cut is the sheet that has all these little embellishments. So you'll end up with 3 green photo mats and 2 of the journaling pieces. I gotta find my other one here. And then your little banner pieces there. So go ahead and trim all those out. And we are going to work on page 1. And I kind of got my stuff separated here. I'm going to work on both pages kind of at the same time. I'll lay them out here. Let me get these set up so that you can see both of them. And the first thing that you're going to do is go ahead and you have your background paper. The other one is a frame, which I will get put out here. This is your next background paper. I'm gonna put it right up against here so that we can kind of work on both together. So on the top of both of these, we're gonna put a little I'm using Barely Art glue, which we have on our website. This stuff is great for the more intricate things that we do, die cuts and stuff. But I also use it for this kind of thing once in a while. And with your chalkings, you go ahead and chalk things up as we go. If you decide you want some color to this, you can chalk the edges of the cream. I'm leaving mine like it is, but you guys add color wherever you want. The one thing that we are going to add color to for sure is the chipboard words. So we'll get this on. Oops, I accidentally hit the little extra glue down here. The great thing about this glue too is that it's clear, so once it dries you won't know that I messed that up. Okay, and from there we are going to start on page 1 and get the, I'm gonna lay this over here, get the trees on here that we need. So the trees on this one is the large with mistletoe pieces on it. The medium with the white poinsettia print. And I'm just kind of laying this out here for now until we get things laid out so that you can see what you need. The smallest of the cream color with the little script on it, and then the medium of that. Okay, so go ahead and find those pieces. And then the way that I am going to place these is I'm going to line these up on the side so I can make sure that I have room for the words. If I need to, we can move these up. So you want your trees to be about an inch up from the bottom because you have this little trim that's going to go right across the bottom here. Actually, I have the trees up a little more than an inch, maybe an inch and a quarter. You place them wherever it looks good for you. But your trees, you can go ahead and chalk those up if you want to. I did a little bit on my sample in the picture. For now, I'm just going to kind of lay them out. You can also glue these down as you go if you like to. Okay, to kind of finish off the first page, there is your two largest photo mats, and this just goes on the top there. Place that. I'm going to tuck this right under that tree instead of moving the trees over. And then I'm actually going to use a little bit of Bloody Mary and chalk the edges of this. Ooh, this is a brand new Bloody Mary, so it has kind of a darker color, which looks really nice on there. I do a little more on the edges, and then I just run it down, or I do a little more on the corners, and then just run it down the edge. Get a little adhesive on there. That goes right on top of there. The other pieces for this is your little red piece, your journaling piece. I'm actually going to chalk that up and make the edges a little darker too. That goes right over top of this. And then the only thing left that is kind of hard to figure out is the stars that will match up on here. And honestly, any of these stars would look good on any of them. I would just save at least the bigger ones with one layer of a smaller one on top for the large ones. Your little words here. And then we are going to chalk up the ones that are going on top of that, the chipboard. And I'm trying to find them here. Okay, here we go. So what you can do is, what we did is we put kind of one color across the top and one color across the bottom. You can either chalk some of this. So what I'm going to do is just do the top part of Peace on Earth and try to do just the top part of the Earth. Or if it's easier for you to not get it on the other piece, go ahead and punch those out and do it without them in the frame here. So then I'm going to take a green and I'm going to go across the bottom, just rub it gently so that it just gives it just a little bit of color. And again, if you use whatever colors you want, you don't have to use any color on here if you don't want. It still looks nice with the with just the chipboard on there. So this is where the Barely Art Glue comes in handy, because these are really small. Actually, I'll go ahead and use it on here. Turn this over, and all I do is just put a little dot here and there. You don't need to cover the entire thing. And then glue that to the yellow piece. Just a little bit. And this glue dries pretty quickly, but it does give you like a second to change it up and move things a little bit if you need to. But it does dry permanent and quickly, so you want to move it quick if you have to. Oops, just like that, I put the N upside down. There we go. Okay. I just like doing this little trick with the chalks and making the words two different colors because it just adds a little extra. Whoop. So we are totally getting ready for Christmas at our house still, and it's a couple days away. It's a busy week for everybody, I know. I hope everybody's enjoying their week though, even though sometimes it gets chaotic. We are actually staying home this year and doing Christmas at our house with my boys. Having some family over, playing games. Okay. So other than the stars, you chalk the stars up however you want, layer them however you want, but I would just suggest laying them out so that you know where you want them. And then you have your bling to put on top of each one of those. So we're just going to get the basics on each page here. So on page 2, we have a tall cream one with script on it. This one is actually going to be up further than the rest of them. These all kind of went in a line. This one is cut so that you need to put it up a little bit further. And about 2.5, 3 inches from the left side of the page. And then this one goes right next to it. And then these ones will actually line up with this, okay? But we wanted this one to be a little bit taller. Oops. So you have 2 red ones. The tallest red one goes on this side. And this is why I usually lay things out first, so that I can see if I have everything positioned correctly. Okay, and then the smaller mistletoe one. And squeeze these together however it works for you. If you need space over here for extra photos or something, make room. Actually, I'm going to show you. I'm going to chalk up one of these so you just see how I do it. I just do just a little bit at the end, and I run it down just so it gives that extra little bit. This looks really nice if you use like an amaretto or some kind of distressing color. I really like it with the browns on there too. And then on this side is your 3, so this is why I need to squeeze this in just a little bit more. Okay, so your 3 photo mats on this side. This up just a little. This goes almost to the top of that cream color paper. And then there's a very tiny space in between each one, so that when you put this on, it lines right up against the bottom. Let's chalk up the edges of these if you want. And these go right in the middle here. You have this to go across the bottom. So you know what, that little embellishment sheet, I accidentally took that out of the other kit. So some of these pieces I cut out we don't even need for this kit. The one piece we do need, I'm sorry, there is one more cut. We're gonna do a 1/4 of an inch strip, and then we just put it in across here where the buttons go on. So I'll bring this out here, and I'm just gonna do a 1/4 inch strip like that. And what I did is I put the 2 corners together, and I snipped just a little dove's tail at the end, like that. It goes across here. And then your buttons, they should all be in this little pack here. You just line those up however you want across the bottom here. There is 3 smaller buttons that get glued to the edge of those. You layer your stars for the top of each tree, and you have your bling to put on top of it. So pretty simple. I hope you have the perfect Christmas pictures, or you're gonna make the perfect Christmas pictures for these. I love this look with lots of colors and kind of a timeless vintage look as well. I hope you enjoy Club Q this month, and we appreciate you being a member, and we will see you next time.